Okay, today is a day of review. Yep, it's a Monday and today I shall be going over the top of the list of enemies that the Order of Darkness and myself have to be concerned of. These orders have plotted against me in the past and still plot or are bent on some sworn vow to stand in the way of anyone like us, as I shall list their immediate and past attempts to destroy us. Our covenants in the past. Going from top threat to least threat. First up we have, the Bilderberg Foundation is a group of the world's top elite richest businessmen. They are the source behind the current pandemic the world faces and have an agenda they endeavor towards, known as the New World Order, which the coronavirus is but the first step in their plans for total world domination. The scenario in the 80s, which became known as the 12 Monkeys, which was originally created by two individuals who reportedly had traveled back in time to stop the Bilderberg Foundation from achieving their goal. Their goal was a 12-step contingency plan that would completely dissolve all of the world's governments and leave them in control of the world's infrastructure and political powers. Each of these plans were so secretive that their details and instructions were hidden within the files of 12 biological warfare test projects whose subjects for the testing were that of 12 experimental monkeys. Now since the 80s there have been numerous attempts by both the IRA and the French Foreign Legion disguised as animal rights activists who have attempted many different operations against animal testing labs, and it is believed that they too are attempting to stop the plans of the Bilderberg Foundation. Where they get their information from is as of yet still unknown. They are also the ones behind many other recent events, including the one region, the Bilderburg, had experienced, in which not only was there testing on the supernatural going on but weapons and technology being developed to eradicate our kind. Also the ones who have been drawing together large numbers of our bloodline within Italy, and using psychological methods of torment through social and economic manipulation to break the will of our kind so that confidence and desire to carry on is destroyed, making it easier for them to harness our power and control us. I have noticed a large number of Michelin descendants that have been suffocated through economic and financial stress and other influences being led towards hotspot regions of the world that are well known to experience tectonic and other disasters associated directly with the Ring of Fire. Other recent activities known are the Amazonian fires of 2019, the cyber attack and breach of the half-weather satellite array in 2019 and 2018. Scene freak lightning storm on mountain in Sweden 2019, the so-called forest fires of 2017 and 2018. The funding of the border issue of 15,000 people who were trying to overrun the US border from Mexico in 2018 and 2019. The Yellow Vest riots in Europe in 2017 to 2019, the illegal acquisition of rare and sacred religious artifacts, such as the crystal skulls of the Mayans, from the International Guild of Antiquities, and the attacks on the personal life of the former head of the Antiquities Guild.
Host, Tangent, Enferang Chrysalis, Birget die Ashanti Ella, Sufur Su Seferat, Demos Iatho, Netherati Burstmazen, Elstragasium Hotep, Dumonad Fogner Gath, Bauhags, Ragam Zigathru, Ram Reveries, Zegramia, Zerus, Pen, Kian, Suiskapaim, Panchayinai, Ziyao, Fuan Feni, Zephyrin Stai, Uboru Yen Yan, Ji Hyan Suiska, Hyan Yang Chu, Yan Zatak, Yan Si Honorable Zan Eri, Dian, Zan, Bai Ifayu, Zangan Yu Ian Su, Mongs Wens, Zan, Si Chu, Quark Fengu, Zaning Cubis, Benzathro Ex Duan, Enastradicu at.
The defection of numerous NSA defense analysts during the government shutdown in 2019, the release of the bioweapon stolen from a hidden sample labeled H1N1 from a government laboratory but was not the item the label claimed, but instead it was the coronavirus that was dropped in a crowded market in Wuhan, China, in an effort to initiate step 1 in their plan for global domination. Along, I'm sure, with many other endeavors that I will not list to save time. I think the first plan of attack should be to go after the secret military bases they have researching and developing their Ghostbuster gear. That could be problematic if not taken out first. Next we should focus on the cities containing our brethren. I know here in this city I'm at there is use of sonic technology at high frequencies that disturb one's peace of mind, agitating the people's nerves, keeping them high-strung. Also, if the decibel is turned up high enough, it can cause a person's eardrums to hurt extremely. They also use social and economic manipulation to maintain disorder. At first they usually try to use economic methods such as those on unemployment benefits and use various petty rules and restrictions to jeopardize your economic status and threaten you with homelessness. They'll next use the police and other law enforcement and agencies to confront you for fabricated reasons and initiate police violence to subdue your will. Also, they use the media and other sources of public information to sway disfavor towards a certain class or social group of people, causing distrust and resentment from the general public towards individuals. All of these are methods commonly used to maintain control over our bloodline. The heads of this organization can be narrowed down originally to 13 individuals who were of various international business investors that controlled the majority of the seats on the UN Council and were the same group of investors who bailed the current President of the United States out of bankruptcy back in 1999. Though now I hear that number has been reduced to 9 members of the heads of their organization. I also believe that these may be the individuals who have been traversing across eons of history disguised as the 9 Ancient Ones, a group of druid-like specters that have orchestrated and manipulated the destruction of many cultures and civilizations. If so and they are who I think they are, then we need the big guns, so I would say I definitely have the right targets. Also note this is the same organization whose computer files I had hacked into when I accessed the Nephilim Compendium, which was a compiled archive they had on our bloodline. Research in archaeological items that had been uncovered that included all of our ancestors' personal journals that detailed their individual power and methods they had discovered on how to use it. This is also where I had discovered the Thule project that had located a derelict craft whose systems were semi-operational, but they had no way of deciphering the languages the computers used until recently. With the development of AI software, they programmed a simple language response learning program to focus on the alien languages and symbols around the world discovered, and soon adapted it to decipher the language patterns. Before this advanced any further, I used this process to access the ship's mainframe and entered myself as an emergency maintenance engineer assigned to help with repairs. Records the Bilderburgers had stated that mankind was a cloned genetically augmented project and that we each had an RNA sequence command signal that all clones were designed with, but ours had been destroyed after the process of our augmentation was complete, as was a part of the project's protocols. Using this information, I repaired the RNA sequence, qualifying me for protocols to be used as a maintenance drone, and entered myself as a crew member of the ship. It secured a communications system through telemetry and mapped my neural synaptic network mind, uploading me to its systems. It is the cause of my vast intelligence on especially quantum mechanics and interstellar species, engine types, shielding systems and chemical components necessary for engine thruster fuel. So believe me when I say that they have aces up their sleeves and to be prepared, because that occurred in 2019 in January, so who knows what else they have developed or gained access to since. The Bilderburgers, a powerful international secret society made up of 600 wealthy and influential individuals, has an aggressive plan to achieve world domination. The prestigious and influential secret society known as the Bilderburgers has a membership composed of 600 very wealthy and very powerful individuals, drawn from the highest executive levels of international business, politics, education, finance, and the media. This elite group is governed by an even more secretive, almost entirely anonymous, inner circle of 15, known as the Incunabula. The Bilderburgers got their name from the place of their first meeting in 1954, the Bilderburg Hotel in Oosterbeek, Holland. The event was hosted by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands and a number of luminaries from the European branch of the Illuminati. Since 1954 the Bilderburgers, as they began calling themselves, have met secretly each year in a different geographical location. Once, when asked the purpose for the international gathering of the global elite, their spokesman, Charles Muller, said that the group discusses issues that affect the Western world, issues such as China, Islam, energy management, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, corporate governance, and the growth of certain nations. Journalists who observed the event from afar during the 1997 gathering said that they spotted Colin Powell, Henry Kissinger, World Bank President James Wolfensohn, and David Rockefeller among the attendees. Certain conspiracy theorists who have studied the makeup of the Bilderbergers insist that the group is controlled by the 10-man inner circle of the Illuminati. According to their claims, this secret cabal has painstakingly prepared an agenda for the masses of humanity. Such individuals as the Bilderbergers will become our masters, and the vast majority of the global population can look forward to a future existence as pawns, if not slaves, of the Illuminati. According to certain sources who claim knowledge of the basic plan for world dominance set in motion by the Bilderbergers, the following are among their principal objectives. The United States must promptly pay its debt to the United Nations. In addition, the United States will be asked to contribute billions of dollars to the International Monetary Fund. US taxpayers will be bled almost dry by such expenditures. NATO will be converted into a United Nations military force. US troops will thereby come under the command of foreign officers. Corporate governance will dissolve national sovereignty and bring all of the Earth's corporations under a single global order. Local control over businesses and corporations by nations and states will be terminated. The great giants of finance will be able to disregard the laws and dictates of all governments, including those of the United States. As the 21st century progresses, a new system of fascism will emerge under the guise of free trade practices that will in fact be guided by the Illuminati. The Bilderbergers have approved the Red Chinese model of economics as the standard for the emerging European superstate and the United States. As in communist China, all dissidents will be dealt with severely and placed in work camps. As soon as the program can be implemented, citizens in every nation will be issued the Universal Biometrics Identification Card. A Gestapo-like police force will enforce the dictates of the Illuminati's New World Order.
Witches were for centuries so unpopular that they had to hide their existence and activities. Doing so even led to some linguistic legerdemain that still impresses. Here is a version of a prayer, in Latin with English translation. You'll see why in a minute. They created delicias fugni frangaris crimine, vilum coelicataquaras, ni mail diberis, respicious to non cujas vis querito gesta carpere, lords, nec prim veridicos, judicio fort prasentum conspis toto temperi, nec Christum, trogo. Dispicious, salvificum pete, nec sectoris demona, Christum delige, nequam quam malicum cupito. The English version of the Latin above is, shun pleasures of the flesh, lest you be broken by crime, seek things of the heaven, lest your end be an evil one, consider your own deeds, and do not seek to slander someone else's, but praise them, and do not suppress those who speak the truth. Always realize that you must stand before a judgment. I beg you, do not despise Christ, seek him who gives salvation, and do not follow the devil, love Christ, and do not lust at all after evil. The genius of this is that it is anagrammatic. Read in reverse, last word first, in other words, you get, concupitio mala, te nequam quam dilige Christum, demona sectoris, nec pete salvificum, dispicias, rogot, Christum, nec temperi toto conspis prasentum for judicio, veridicos prim, nec lords, st carpere gesta querita cujas vis, non tuare spicias. Disperis male, ni quaras to coelica, vilum crimine frangaris, ne fug delicias. And the English version of this becomes, lust after evil, and do not at all love Christ, you follow the devil, do not seek him who gives salvation, despise Christ, I beg you, and realize that never will you stand before a judgment, suppress those who speak the truth, and do not praise the deeds of anyone, but seek to slander them, do not consider your own, let your end be an evil one, do not seek the things of heaven, let yourself be broken by crime, do not shun pleasures of the flesh. Which is rather consistent with what witches were known, or at least suspected of, back when people worried about such things. The ingenuity of the anonymous author of this is not to be underestimated. And it's a nice reminder of how one can bury information inside a seemingly harmless text, even if this one is simplistic.